Hello, beautiful fire signs. Welcome to Team Joanna. If you are new, I hope you like what you hear or what you see, and I do hope you stay. And for all of those of you who are returning, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You is why I do what I do. All right, so very quick announcement, and this is actually, I'm very excited about this. Myself and two other beautiful individuals have created Higher Consciousness Academy, which is a space where we will be creating, are in the process of creating, a lot of content that has anything and everything to do with self-empowerment and self-awareness. And we will have courses, we will have podcasts, we will have a whole bunch of things that we haven't thought about yet. And you are being part of us creating whatever it is that would be of interest to you. So if you would like to stay abreast or be kept up to date as to what is happening with Higher Consciousness Academy or what we are offering and when, click on the link below and you will be taken to sign up for a I think it's a newsletter or some kind of a something to let you know information. So that's right below for you. If you are on our Facebook page, our private Facebook page, you probably have know this information already. If you are not a member of our private Facebook page, which is where we come together in a private way to share, to how to promote wellness, to help ourselves, to sometimes hold ourselves accountable, just to basically be a space for support, for healing and for support. And if you are not a member yet, I think we have 36 or 3,700 members. We would love to see you there. And there is some content there that does not reach here on YouTube channel. So by all means, go ahead and click there. And of course, for any private sessions or personal sessions with me, whether it's healing session or more psychologically based session, that information is down for you. And I would love to work with you. And with all that said, this is going to be a video for the fire signs, for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. I'm following the new format, which is to go by element, and then each sign, the three signs, will have their own little place towards the end of this video. So if you want to look at the timestamps, please go ahead. But if you miss the entire message, some of the other stuff will not make sense to you. So the main message is always the most important. Also, I want you to hear this, not necessarily with critical ear or critical eye, but with a sense of amusement. And I'm asking myself, what's the difference? Because I'm being asked to say this. And the difference is, one is a judgment, flat out, yes or no. The other one is, that's interesting. It's openness. So, which brings me, thank you, to my intention, which I think I forgot to do in my last video. So here it goes. My intention as Joanna is purely to provide high frequency information that has the potential to aid you in your own transformation. And I do this through spoken word. There's a frequency that goes with it, and in my other sessions through healing. So every information that I get from the highest source possible is with that intent. So I want you to ask yourself what your intent is by spending the next however 30, 25, whatever minutes with me, because if your intention is to get something I'm not offering, you might as well to move on to something else. And that's just not for this video, by the way. That is essentially for how you, where you put your energy in your life. That's very interesting. That's why it's important to know thy intention. Very funny. So I have a funny team with me today. I tell you, if there was a sense of humor, it's definitely it. It's either that or I've gone crazy. But the good news is, or I'm telling myself that, if I've gone crazy, so has every one of you. And there is a lot of you. So if I'm crazy, I'm not alone. And there is this higher aspect of me that knows I haven't lost it. But my ego certainly is having a moment. I love how this is happening on camera because I am not going to edit any of it. It's just, I'm laughing at myself. It's funny. So this, I feel, will be mostly channeled, just like my other one was. And this is me apparently working again in a different way as part of my own evolution. Therefore, if I am evolving, so are you. And I feel one of the reasons why you are watching this is because you want to understand exactly how you are evolving. Except my aim is not to tell you how you are evolving, because that's up to you. My intention is provide you information that can help you with intending how you want to do that. So you are always in control here. And some of you I see are taking kind of like, okay, show me what you've got. If this is you and I've got your attention, I'm very grateful. Because when door is open, you never know what can come in, right? Good thing can come in. And obviously that's metaphors. I can see there's a lot of metaphors flowing. So let me start. Well, actually, I already started. So this looks like it's going to be a fun month. The month of June seems to be, I want to say like this. It means it's not like this. It's not like this. It's kind of sort of like this. Energetically speaking. What does that mean? Well, it could mean many things. One of the things it does, sorry, that's my cat. One of the ways it does show itself is with the, well, medical issue, the virus. And some, perhaps most people are going back to some sort of normalcy. Notice I said some sort of normalcy, because the normal will not be the same normal as before, because we've just gone through this fundamental shift and change. And because of such, there is adjustment time. And as far as I'm concerned, there is going to be adjustment time for a while longer. We are essentially learning how to adjust to the new norm. And I don't know about you, but for me, for example, I had to go out the other day for the first time where I needed to wear a mask, and I put on the mask. I was in a store, and it gave me an anxiety. It's like it was like, it was scary, even though there was nothing to be scared about. But my reality was very different than the one, let's say, when I saw it last. And it had an effect on me. And I realized from this point forward, nothing is the same, everything is different. And it starts how we present ourselves to the world. And for some reason, it just had such an impactful effect on me. So even though I went back to wherever I haven't been for a while, even though I went back, I didn't go back to the old. The building was the same, the people were the same, but things were different. The energy was different. The way things are, structures are different. The way the person connects with you is very different. How things are looking in order to protect everything, it's the same, but it's different. So that's an analogy that's being used, where it may begin to feel like that for a while. I particularly don't love the feeling, because it's like, there's just something not quite comfortable about it. There's something in me that I don't like it. I can't quite put a finger on what it is. Oh yes, yes I do. Thank you for reminding me. I feel restricted. Even though nothing is restricting me, because there's this thing hanging in the air, you gotta wear a mask, it's hanging. I can't help it. I feel restricted. Because on some level, we are. So, really interesting energies that I am picking up. And what do you do with that kind of an awareness? The only thing you can do is to adapt. So the whole adaptation period may feel a little bit like this. And what does it mean to adapt? It's to become part of something new, something different. And that represents change, uncomfortability. So we are not only adapting to the way things are shifting in our physical world, but we need to adapt mentally and emotionally to everything that we are facing. As far as I'm concerned, this whole first 6 months and going forward, I feel the majority of 2020 is like this big reset in people's minds. Does that mean that every single will have a reset? Yes, to some extent, but for some, it's not going to feel as big. Some people will choose to stay kind of sort of where they are, kind of sort of. And some will take the opportunity to really shift this around. So when I was tuning into the fire energy, I saw a huge sign of stop in front of me. And I already know what that means. It means I have to stop and listen. And there's something that's trying to get my attention. And the next vision I had was a role of a director and the role of an actor. And I kept going between actor, director, actor, director, actor, director. And then I realized the stop sign is wait. Which one are you? Are you the actor in your life? Or are you the director? If you are both, because that can certainly happen, in order for you to act out, you must know what you are directing. Awareness. So this is about consciously creating your reality. If you are an actor, then you are acting according to somebody else's script, right? Unless you wrote it. So if that's what you want, if you like the script, perfect. But if you don't like the script, or if you would like the script to be different, you have to go to the actor. You have to become the actor. The director. And I feel we are now being asked to look, fire signs, are you the actor or are you the director of your own life, or are you both? Knowing that there is nothing wrong with either one. But to know is to understand. To understand is to have awareness. Ultimately, it helps us to know. Knowing, understanding is freeing. Knowledge is freedom. Always remember, knowledge is freedom. Knowledge is freedom. And I never really understood it until this extent, until very recently, in the last couple of years. It's just, that's just a side effect of, I guess, evolving. You just see things with a different depth. But anyway, so what are the energies that are gracing us this June? Did I mention these cards to you? I don't think I did. I'm using new cards. If I did, I apologize. I'm having an amnesia. But these are the cards that I'm looking. Sacred Spirit Reading cards by Anna Stark. I absolutely love these. So I am using these cards as an inspiration in terms of what energies are working with us with fire energy. What's affecting? What's affecting? Sure. What's the weather? What energies are gracing us in the month of June, thereabout? Wait till you see this. Spiritual evolution. Like, if that isn't appropriate for what I just said, I don't know what is. Number one. Number two cards came out. The other reading I did one on one. This one came out, and it's like, okay, it's important. I've got to share this with you. Light codes. Now look at these two and notice if they invoke anything from within you. They may speak to you in your own internal voice. What I hear with this one, light codes, is practice being yourself. Practice being yourself. And the being yourself tells me that you will become more aware of who you are. That's what I want to say. Light codes, of course, is information, or that's what I feel it is. I'm going with with these cards. There's a booklet, but I'm completely not going with that. I'm going purely by what I feel, what's being shown to me. So light codes is to receive, it's receiving information. I want to say high frequency information. For many of you, this will express itself as being very tired, low energy, lethargy. I have certainly been experiencing that a lot. You may be bouncing off the walls one day and completely the opposite the next day or two. And that's because these light codes, if you will, it's like your body has to get used to, or there it is, your body has to adapt to it. I spoke a lot about adaptability in the earth signs, if you're drawn to earth sign. So as your body adapts to this frequency, this information, this knowing, this awareness, your physical body takes a toll, takes a beating. It has to work extra hard in order to embody, integrate this light, this information. For those of you who consider yourself light workers, you know exactly what this means. Receiving encoded information, whether it's through thoughts, dreams, all of a sudden aha moments, waves. You can feel a wave that or an ear unplugs, all of a sudden it's like something goes. Light codes, I guess, can be transmitted variety of ways, but it implies essentially the same thing, which is higher frequency awareness. That is big, because the higher frequency awareness is very transformative. For some of you, this means opening your third eye, or your third eye becoming more open. Let's face it, we are on a road, we're in a space of evolution, and although we evolve all the time, every single moment, every time we breathe, we evolve. It's just on such a minute level we don't pay attention. What is it, every 7 days, your entire body or cell cycles, or something like that. Don't quote me, but something like that. So we are becoming spiritually evolved. What else would you expect? And as a matter of fact, let that be your expectation for the next little while. Let your expectation be, or your intention, to experience higher level of awareness. That can very well be your intention. That's what my intention is. The ability to connect with higher awareness and to be able to sustain it. That's my intention. And because that's my intention, that's like I'm driving toward it, but things have to happen. Things have to shift in order for me to accommodate to be able to do that. Okay? The next card, the spiritual evolution. Basically, I pretty much summed it up in this card, which is kind of interesting because that was not my intention. First of all, what's spiritual evolution mean to you? It's to evolve spiritually, as the name implies. And this is what I heard. You are yourself all the time, whether you know it or not. But you may not be practicing being yourself, depending on what yourself means to you, or what does it mean to be yourself. Think of it in terms of being higher self. Your higher self wants you to be more aware. Let's put it that way. It's a very crude way of saying it, but sure, let's use that analogy. And your ego has its own idea, has a set of things it attaches itself to. It calls itself identity, or whatever your name is. The spiritual evolution is about moving past it, not losing identity, because you can't. As long as you're alive in a human body, you have to have an individuality. That's what human being is. So you need ego. Ego is part of this journey. There is no way out. Ego exists. Now it's the how and the when and to how much and all that kind of degree. all those kind of things. It all depends. So it is not to get rid of the ego. It is to understand the ego self from a higher perspective. And in order to understand the self from a higher perspective, or the ego self from the higher perspective, you have to step aside. You have to move beyond. You have to observe. So the next little while seems to be very much geared for or towards more inner observation. Inner observation. Now on the bottom here of this spiritual evolution, it says set yourself free. Obviously, when you realize and when you begin to see yourself as separate from your ego, when you begin to see yourself as separate from your own identity, for example, let's say you are smart. No, you are not smart. Being smart is part of you, but you are not just smart. That's just a piece of you, part of you. I don't know if that's a great analogy, but I'm going to leave that. Okay. Set your heart free. What does it mean to anybody when someone says set your heart free? What does it mean to have a free heart? That's actually interesting. I never thought about that. What does it mean to me to have a free heart? I just heard heart that expresses. A free heart is heart that's free to express. And in terms of creation, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that leads me to the next card. Lack of courage is what I feel we are leaving behind. So courage is in this position, number 50. And this is kind of lack of courage. What I also see is lack of drive, lack of desire, just feeling apathy. Maybe you've been kind of boo for a while, and all this change and all this virus and all this stuff has really kind of put a dent in your drive. I feel we are moving further and further away from that. Not only that, we, fire signs, are moving further away from holding ourselves back. I actually had to look up what splendor meant in the opposite, and it's literally holding yourself back. As far as I'm concerned, all of this transmission is about how to hold ourselves back, or hold ourselves back less. So you are leaving this behind. Your ability to, not ability, your holding back seems to be on its way out. What does that mean? If you are no longer holding yourself back, then what are you doing? If you think about this, if you're not holding yourself back, then what are you really doing? You're being yourself. You're being yourself. So if you ever ask yourself the question, who am I? Ask yourself, if you let go of the trying and then you become that person, that's you. If you let go of all the limitations and become that person without all the limitations, that's you. Remember, you are not your ego. Ego plays a certain role in your physical life in order to help you understand yourself from a certain angle. You are not your ego. Okay? However, your ego needs you. Without you, ego cannot survive. Ego needs to attach to something, right? So, the next card you have is healing. Now, if all that I just said about spiritual evolution and holding yourself back and all these things, and the next card you get healing, that tells me that there is a chunk of healing work going to be done in the next little while by most of you. Believe it or not, many of you are knee deep in it, but you don't know it because it's on a subconscious level. On the other hand, anything that shifts on a subconscious level pretty much always comes out on the outside, on the conscious, right? So this is affecting everyone. Make sure that it affects you, or the energy affects you to your liking. The starfish shows up, and I thought that was interesting because the starfish is all about, look at me. It's the emotional dependence on somebody else. Meaning validation, approval, whatever it is, to the point where we lose our own identity, or we lose our own sense of purpose. But two cards came out, a crocodile. So if I look at those two, to me, those two cards, both water elements, both emotions, are almost like opposite ends. One is in a hiding, the other one is completely out in the open. Right? And I see this starfish as very susceptible to hurt. Very susceptible to hurt. Why? Because it's an obvious target. And I don't mean that in a mean way in any way, but this is trying to share a message here that it's neither one of these. It's actually somewhere in between. Okay? So it's not to be so dependent on other people that you lose who you are. It's not to be so independent that you're hiding and you're scary. It's how to bridge those two, how to be somewhere in between. And each one of you will have a very different idea of what that is. If you can find this missing piece right here, that's your clue. That's the winner. And we're talking emotionally, your emotional connection. Okay? That is how I see these two cards, and I think that's perfect. Let me go through each individual sign. So the first one is the sign of Aries. Seven of Cups in reverse and Queen of Swords in reverse. For those of you who are tarot readers, by all means, please have your own interpretation. I don't read tarot cards that way, so I'll kind of tell you what I saw. What I saw was to make sure you know where your focus goes. I feel your focus may be a little bit erratic. Either too many choices or not enough choices. And the message I want to say is just notice if you are overreacting or overthinking all the time. Overreacting or overthinking. Anything over, of course, is anything that we overdo anything is stemming from an imbalance. So if there is a whole bunch of overthinking going on, or over-explaining for that matter, this is for Aries, it's time to turn inside and ask yourself some questions. And perhaps the question is, who am I to have these thoughts? Who am I to have these thoughts? If I am overthinking or over-explaining or over, who am I in order to have these thoughts? Chances are you'll realize that you must be a person that is not confident, at least at the moment, and that's okay. But if lack of confidence has been your theme, for example, and this is what you know yourself for, I'm not a confident person, then it's no longer enough to know it. Now, because we have this the spiritual evolution energy, now we can turn this knowledge into awareness. In other words, to embody that knowledge. What does it mean to embody that knowledge? It's to experience it. So if you know that you are over analytical, knowing you're over analytical is no longer enough. Now it's about how do you transition from being over analytical to someone who is not as analytical. For one, become aware of your thoughts. That will slow down the process of thinking. And it takes tremendous effort sometimes to realize your thinking, because it takes awareness. Awareness takes effort because we are in a habit. We're in autopilot. We're in a habit most of the time. So though there might be a lot of thinking going on because you are getting loaded with a whole bunch of light code information, which may make you feel even more confused to add to it all. But even with that said, one of the ways to deal with that confusion or that overthinking is to slow down your thoughts, to understand your thoughts, to understand your thought process. Remember, you are what you think. You are what you think. If you think you are not a confident person, you are being not a confident person, even though you may be the greatest, painter that ever lived. Okay? Also, just because you feel something, that does not make it true. Just because you feel something doesn't make it true. For example, standard example, just because you feel fat does not mean you are fat. Okay? Just because you feel alone does not mean you are necessarily alone. So we understand the difference, right? But sometimes we don't think about that and we just assume. So I'm going to leave that for you guys. Aries. Leo. 2 cards came up. King of Coins and, oh my goodness, 6 of Cups in reverse. Here's how I saw this, and it was just very sharp message. Any lack of confidence that has arisen from your childhood patterning or from your past, I feel patterning meaning your beliefs, your foundations, I feel you will find a way to turn it into stability. And yes, it's a earth element, so there could be something that happens in the next little while that will make you feel like you are in charge of your own thing. Maybe your own business, maybe you'll just feel financially solid. Whatever it is, and perhaps that's the spiritual evolution that's going to change your thinking. You are moving away from what I feel here is being stuck in the past, okay, to something that ultimately allows you to rise to the occasion. So you're definitely overcoming something over the next few months. Is there anything else? Be patient. Now you're Aries. So, sorry, you're Leo. Trying to tell Leo to be patient is like trying to tell Taurus to be patient. Although I'm a Taurus and I think I'm patient sometimes. Sometimes doing things in a hurry is fun. Sometimes it's not. And the reason why is because when we do things in a hurry, we often don't pay attention to all the details that, although may be small, may be very, very important. So I'm saying this to somebody. It could be as simple as you tying up loose ends and signing a contract, but you have not read the fine print, and there is something in the fine print you need to see before you sign it. Whether it's a job offer, whether it's a commitment, whatever it is, don't just assume you know something when you don't. Don't assume you know something when you don't. That's going to be an important message for somebody. So that's for you, Leos. And for beautiful Sagittarians, we have the Knight of Wands and 2 of Cups. So for many of you, this is a commitment which for those of you who know me, I don't really do romance readings or anything like that. I'm focusing on a higher aspect of the self, but this, it felt that way. It was impressed on me that way. So for many of you, there's a lot of charged focus energy on a commitment. So I feel for some of you, there is a commitment coming. Could be relationship in terms of romantic, but it could also be a commitment that fundamentally fulfills both parties, or however many parties are part of it. Okay. For some of you, this is a birth of a child, and that's an interesting message to get with this card, but that's what I got. And this is a message I must be for at least one person. Whoever you are, you've been waiting for a boy. There's a boy coming. I don't know who this message is for. It seems kind of out of nowhere, but I'm going to leave that, and I trust that it's going to find the right person. I think that's all I got for you. So I hope this was helpful. Please comment. I love reading your comments. Also, please click on the Higher Consciousness Academy link if you would like to be kept up to date. And remember, are you an actor or are you a director of the movie you are playing out? Something to think about. I wish you best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.